Chapter 22.
It was all over. I knew I was done for. Nothing in the world could stop the beast Visser 3 had morphed into. He was 20 feet tall as a telephone pole. He stood on 3 massive legs, each as big around as a redwood tree. He had a tiny head, not much bigger than a human head. He would have looked funny, except that there was nothing funny about what he was doing. With 2 long, mighty arms, he was casually tearing up the concrete. He slammed his fingers into the cement. He ripped it up in slabs and tossed them over his shoulder. One of the slabs hit a Hork-Bajir and crushed him. I don't think Visser 3 even noticed or cared. I ran. Crash! One of the Visser's huge hands slammed down in front of me. I scampered back and turned. Crash! Another hand, like living rock, slammed in front of me. Even the cat in me knew it was hopeless. Visser 3 glared down at me with tiny bright eyes in that weirdly small head. He reached for me with both hands, cupped together, forming a wall around me. Crunch! Visser 3 hesitated. Boom! I bolted. I leaped to the top of a wall, 6 feet straight up. And trust me, as scared as I was, I could have jumped even higher. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw what had happened. The Earth Mover had ground forward and slammed into one of the bug fighters. The bug fighter had exploded.
Arrgh!
Visser 3 roared in fury. I did not envy the Hork-Bajir and Taxons who had let that Earth Mover get through. I ran along the top of the wall. It was cinder block, full of holes, and only a few inches wide. It was a much tougher challenge than the balance beam in gymnastics.
I'll kill you all, fools!
Visser 3 screamed. I hoped he would just forget about me. But then I heard the thunder of his walk. In 2 steps, he had caught up to me. His huge hand swept toward me. It was 10 feet to the ground, and the ground was covered with rusted, twisted metal. I had no choice. I leaped. The sharp metal was rushing up at me. Visser 3's hand was sweeping toward me. Something sharp bit into my back. The ground was no longer rushing up at me. Instead, I was zooming through the air.
Geez, Rachel. Next time you want to morph into a kitty, pick one who doesn't eat so much.
Tobias!
I can get you as far as the trees. That's it.
Tobias said.
I have to morph back,
I said.
My time is up.
We flew toward the trees. Tobias strained to keep us in the air. I knew he was at his limit of endurance.
Drop me, now!
We were in the trees. Tobias dropped me. I fell through the air, but my tail pivoted and kept my balance perfect. A tree branch. Slam! My claws dug into the bark. I was already morphing back as I dropped to the ground and landed on soft pine needles. Through the trees, I could see the huge beast that was Visser 3 rampaging in a fury. The few Hork-Bajir that were left were tossed around like toys. Taxons were crushed under his feet.
I think he's mad we got away,
Tobias said. Jake? The others? I demanded. Did they make it?
They're fine. Jake had to morph back into human shape before going into the tiger morph, so he didn't have a problem with the time. Marco got his feathers a little singed, but he's okay. Cassie too.
I collapsed on the ground. I had escaped. I had survived. I knew I should have been glad, but all I felt was tired.